So recently I made a video on Pure BullFit and the little YouTube scuffle that he had with Vegangains in regards to an Athlean-x exercise video. And I simply asked Pure BullFit if he could expand on the topic of veganism, since he actually brought it up on his own in his response video as a disclaimer towards veganism and vegans. Link to that video will be up above. Check it out if you haven't already. So Pure BullFit made another response video to Vegangains and a few other YouTubers and brought up veganism again and whether he should debate the topic of veganism or not, since Vegangains challenged him to a debate through some type of email exchange between the two of them.
Now, I've said that I'm not a vegan, and it's not a choice that I'm currently planning to make, but I do respect the passion of those that are, particularly those who have made that choice for moral reasons. But that's presenting some sort of dichotomy for some members of his community. I have to be honest, I'm not particularly interested in debating that. But if it's something that you guys want to see, please let me know in the comments below, and I will at least entertain the idea.
All right, there goes Vegangains again, wanting to debate everyone and making it as boring as possible. I mean, come on, dude. No one wants, or who the hell wants to watch a 3 or 4 hour long debate as to why veganism is the way of the future, or why it's more sustainable or healthy, or whatever the case may be, rather than a meat-based diet. I'm not saying that debates are bad, but it doesn't really seem fitting for this scenario or this conversation with Pure BullFit. So of course, I replied to Pure BullFit with this. Great video, well spoken as always. I'm with you on everything you said. I would hate to have to see one of my fellow brothers in arms have to beat the shit out of some outspoken YouTuber, Vegangains, who has probably never been through the shit like you and I. I don't necessarily want you to debate the topic of veganism, but I would love to know your well thought reasons as to why you are not vegan. Do you think it is okay to eat animal flesh and what they secrete in today's society? Why do you eat animals and what they secrete? Is it necessary? What would stop you from being vegan? Have you seen the amount of needless pain and suffering these sentient beings have to go through? Do you know the cost of what it is doing to our planet and our future, in particular our youth's future? Greatly appreciated. And Pure BullFit responded with, the honest answer is it's a complicated subject that I'm learning a lot about. Sure, the suffering I see is troubling. It's caused other professionals like Alan Roberts to greatly reduce the amount of meat overall that they consume and limit it to primarily fish. But so far, what I've found, there isn't a single way outside of growing food on my own land that's going to result in a zero suffering balance. Society is currently dependent in part on the way that we engage with food, and it's terrible, but I don't know what to do about it. I know it's not popular to do anymore, but I like to have a complete picture as possible before I move forward with a course of action. So we can probably all agree that this is a pretty well written response. He doesn't know too much about veganism. That's okay. I mean, he probably needs to learn a little bit more about the nutritional benefits of a vegan diet, whole foods, plant-based vegan diet at least, and the negative impacts of not being vegan on the environment. I think Pure BullFit has an understanding of the atrocities of factory farming and the supposed free-range animals that are needlessly and ruthlessly murdered for profits and taste pleasure. Regardless, we can all agree that needlessly taking the life of an animal is wrong, especially when we account for our lifestyles as Americans or westernized cultures, whether we decide to purchase dead animal parts that are considered to be free-ranged or raised in the most horrific conditions that most animals are currently enslaved in right now as I speak. It's wrong because it is not necessary. Whichever way you look at it, hence why we should just leave the damn animals alone and stop this embarrassment that we will unfortunately have to look back at in the future of our human history that is known as the animal agriculture business, or what I feel should be called the animal slave trade, which we all subscribe to at one point or another. So let's cover as quickly as what we can what Pure BullFit responded with. So apparently the animal suffering that Pure BullFit has witnessed is quite troubling, and it's been so troubling that even Alan Roberts from Every Damn Day Fitness has decided to lessen the amount of meat he is eating, or the amount of dead animals he's eating, to just fish, according to what Pure BullFit is stating. I'll just say this in regards to Mr. Alan Roberts over at Every Damn Day Fitness. He's been on my radar for some time now, and he's already on the docket, but either way, I'm glad to hear that he's lessening his consumption of animal flesh for the sake of the animals. But I guess for the meantime, it's okay to let those fish just suffocate to death so that he can continue to eat them for non-existential reasons, because you know, those PCBs, pops, and mercury are so essential and so healthy and clearly worth it. I mean, who else is gonna talk about how ridiculous the fat acceptance movement is, or how to spot a dipshit like V-Shreds if this charming fellow isn't here to yell about it to you in the form of a YouTube video? Let's just leave that stone unturned for now, as I don't have any issues with Mr. Alan Roberts, but like I said, he's on the docket. So Pure BullFit mentions that there isn't a single way of eliminating animal suffering outside of him growing his own food on his land. And I see where Pure BullFit is going with this, and I agree to a certain extent, as the truth is that animals, insects, and bacteria, and God knows what else, will always have to suffer or die at some level if we are here on this planet. Even if you have your own crops or your own farm of grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices and the like, you will always be committing to some form of suffering or death by just being alive. So the question is not necessarily how do we eliminate all forms of suffering and death, because unfortunately that's inevitable. But how do we lessen the amount of suffering and death we incur from simply fulfilling the requirements we need to be alive and thrive? Well, that's a start right there, and a good one at that. This may be news to the majority of people who have never inquired about the logistics of raising livestock, but all those corn and soy fields are not being eaten by those pesky and militant vegans or even other people outside of veganism. So who's eating all those crops if people aren't? Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense once you look at the numbers. You might find it crazy to believe it's actually way more costly to raise animals for food rather than just growing plants for food. The fact that we enslave over 9 billion land animals for food doesn't help either. As much as we want to believe that those 9 billion animals we slaughter annually in the US alone are gonna get nice and fat off of just living off of this fairy tale land of free pasture and luscious grass, it simply isn't the case. Do you have any idea how much food and water it takes to sustain these animals? Well, sustain is actually the wrong word to use. It's really more like grow these animals, or use and exploit these animals till they don't produce a profit for you anymore, and then you just chop them up into a bunch of, kill them and then chop them up into a bunch of pieces and then sell them off because they're so stupid. Cows can eat up to 50 to 55 pounds of feed a day, and if that cow is milking, it will require upwards of 100 pounds of feed a day. Each chicken eats about 1/4 pound of feed each day, which doesn't sound too bad. We've got a little bit of an issue there. See, when you're slaughtering over 9 billion chickens alone every single year, the numbers seem to add up very, very quickly. 80% of all water consumption in the United States is directly attributable to the agriculture business, and up to 90% of the water consumption in westernized states is directly due to the agriculture business. That's just looking at the amount of resources, or some of the resources, that go into raising just cows and chickens, and the total water consumption of animal agriculture as a whole. I didn't even look into the other animals the US decides to exploit and enslave, such as pigs, turkeys, horses, sheep, and whichever other animal is part of this horrendously immoral and wasteful business. There's of course the amount of destruction that animal agriculture is responsible for that ends up flowing into our oceans, as there is a giant dead zone in the Gulf, which is from animal waste seeping into the Mississippi, which ends up just flowing right into the Gulf. There's also the amount of greenhouse gas emissions from livestock that is estimated to be responsible for about 51% of greenhouse gas emissions. I mean, the list just goes on and on. This video could be like over an hour long if I went over all the negative environmental impacts that are caused from animal agriculture. So let's just keep it simple. Paying someone for animal carcasses or for the secretions of an animal is horrible for the environment. Fair enough?
But what about all those essential nutrients found in dead animal flesh?
Well, there isn't any special nutrient found in dead animal flesh or the secretions of an animal that can't be found in the plant kingdom. Now, don't you haters start ranting about B12, as you know, B12 doesn't come from animal flesh or from what they secrete. B12 comes from bacteria and it can be found in dirt. So if you want to eat dirt, go ahead, have a blast. I'll chill here with my supplement I take a couple times a week. There's also this huge misconception as to why people eat animals and what they secrete. I've heard it to believe that most people eat animals and what they secrete for the amount of nutrients that are found in the flesh and the bioavailability of the nutrients, while completely disregarding the harmful substances that are found in the animal flesh or the secretions. Three of the most common harmful substances that are always brought up for good reason being saturated fat, trans fat, and cholesterol. And I mean, I know there's been a load of industry-funded studies trying to push their agenda to sell more chicken periods or pus milk or flesh. But if you read any of these studies, you'll find out very quickly that these substances are still very bad for human health and human consumption, as I debunked in a previous video. Again, link will be up above. Make sure to check it out when you have a chance, if you haven't already. Animal flesh is not healthy for humans to consume, as we are not omnivores, no matter how much bullcrap the many professors who are scouring the internet want to profess so. And lastly, Pure BullFit mentions that he would like to have as much of a complete picture as possible before he moves forward with any course of action. Okay, well, I've provided him with some information, and anyone watching this video, you know, this information's for you as well too. And there's loads of much more information out there in the internet, and on my channels as well too. But either way, does Pure BullFit have a complete picture of the life he's living right now with regard to the animals that he's eating? Does he know the harm it's doing to his body and the environment? Has he read any peer-reviewed articles showing that animal foods are healthy? If so, please share, and I would really love to know, how is excessive saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, hormones, heme, iron, animal proteins, heterocyclic amines, and AGEs good for the human body? I would bet that Pure BullFit doesn't have a clear picture of what he's doing now, yet he is still continuing to eat animals, at least I think so as we speak, and what they secrete. So I don't even know how he would use that argument to justify his actions against veganism. It's kind of like shooting yourself in the leg and not fully having a complete picture as to why you keep shooting yourself in the leg, but yet you keep doing it because you don't fully understand how not to shoot yourself in the leg. So therefore, you keep shooting yourself in the leg. Let's make this as simple as possible. Does anyone really think that they're going to get sick or deficient in anything by eating fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds, spices, and herbs? I mean, if that were the case, wouldn't there be like vegans dying every single day, like at astronomical numbers? Which, by the way, I'm not saying that you can't be an unhealthy vegan. You can definitely be an unhealthy vegan, but to be an unhealthy, low-fat, whole foods, plant-based vegan that's getting enough calories is pretty damn near to impossible, is my guess, at least according to the science. I mean, we're talking about the healthiest foods on the planet that don't have any of the carcinogenic or artery-clogging substances that are naturally found in animals and what they secrete. By being vegan, you're saving at least one animal life every single day, maybe even more. You're not paying homage to having babies being ripped away from their mothers or baby chicks being grinded up alive for a few eggs, and you're not contributing to a slew of other atrocities I really don't need to bring up. Pure BullFit says he doesn't know what to do, and you know, that's okay. We were all there at one point or another. All I can say is just go vegan and do it correctly, please. Don't go crazy and just eat like freaking fruit all day or something, or just like lettuce all day. No, eat a variety of plants. Don't go too crazy on the fats. Get enough calories and you'll be just fine. It will be one of the best decisions that you make for yourself, the planet, and the animals. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. All references will be linked in the description box down below. Please let me know what you think in the comment sections down below. And Kevin, Pure BullFit, I hope you saw this video to its entirety, and I hope you choose to be on the right side of history from today on forward. You strike me as an individual who doesn't tolerate excuses or any type of bullshit. So do the right thing, man. I know you're a good guy. All right, everyone, thanks for watching. You know, I appreciate every single one of you. Please do your boy a solid. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and ding dong button if you haven't already. I'm the Natural Hulk, so I want to thank you for watching. And please stay tuned for the next one.